So today we are going to be looking into Snapchat, but there's a couple of things as well that we'll be looking into. So I'm going to give you a brief update as to what's been happening in the major social media platforms, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram in the last 12 months alone. The reason being is because things just change very fast. So I try to keep it as updated as possible to keep you all updated. We'll then do a deep dive into Snapchat. We'll look into AI and the impact of it has on children. We'll look into some recommendations and learning center. Just a word of caution and warning here. The first bit or the first half of the presentation is going to sound a little bit scary and a little bit gloomy for a Monday morning, but I like to get rid of the scary bit in the first half itself, and then we'll talk about all the nice and the fun stuff as well. So do bear with me with some of the things that we will be discussing about this morning. So we're gonna just jump right straight in because there's just so much to unpack and uncover today. So let's start with TikTok first. So the latest update is that the US might see a potential ban of TikTok because President Biden signed the bill just April this year alone. So we'll have to wait and see as to what's going to happen there. TikTok has started labeling AI-generated content on its platform. What this basically means is that because of how AI has evolved, it's very easy now to create faceless content on different platforms like TikTok and YouTube. What I mean by faceless is that, say, for example, you want to create, say, the life of Albert Einstein. All you need to do is go into one of this video AI making tool and say, create a video of Albert Einstein, and then you can just, put it up on the platform. And these kind of content, they get real engagements just because the way, the content is being curated, the voice, the captions, and so on. But there's lots of misinformation as well when it comes to, faceless content because there's no accountability to it. So again, labeling this kind of content is a good way to also tackle misinformation. And especially here in the UK, 11% of adults actually rely on TikTok as a source of news and information. TikTok has started a new thing which is known as Fulfill by TikTok. So the arrow that you can see that on the screen, that basically means that you can now shop on TikTok just the way you would shop on Amazon, and it's Fulfilled by TikTok. So influencers are just selling directly to consumers on TikTok. They've introduced a new group messaging feature. So if you're 16 and above, you can now create group chats up to 30 people. But for young users, group chats are usually the source of cyberbullying and so on. The recent riots that happened in the UK just a couple of months back, there were three main platforms that played a role on it. X, formerly known as Twitter, they had 27 million post impressions that speculated who the attacker was. Telegram was used by far-right groups to organize the protest that basically happened, and TikTok was the main platform that was being used to live stream some of the the events that basically took place. TikTok challenges, this remain one of its most sort of prominent feature of the app. I'm not going to go through any of this, but a lot of them are really, really dangerous, and any young user or any user shouldn't be involved in these kind of challenges. But the reason why they remain popular is because of the virality of it. You do this challenge, you put the hashtag, and you easily go viral when you participate in this kind of challenges. But it's important to discourage any young people to be part of any of these kind of challenges. I'll just tell you a little bit about this boy. So his name is Try. He is a 16-year-old boy who started noticing very sort of violent type of content that was being presented on his TikTok news feed. At the same time, there was a researcher known as Andrew, and this researcher basically found that TikTok algorithm was feeding boys with violent type of content, whereas girls, on the other hand, had a lot of makeup tutorials and dance challenges type of content. When the founding was being presented to TikTok, their response was that it would have been too expensive to make the necessary changes. So again, because everything is just algorithm driven, so even someone of the same age but a different gender, they would get a completely different sort of things presented on their newsfeed just the way algorithm is. Facebook, quick update on Facebook. This year, they've been criticized for potentially showing ads that are inappropriate and harmful. So these are AI tools that basically you can remove someone's clothing, 3 different apps which are being sponsored and promoted on Facebook. Again, just something a little bit inappropriate for, for a young user to be exposed to. Instagram, just last month alone, Instagram introduced new safety features to make its platform safer for young users. So I won't go into the detail of it, but just something for you to know. So they've introduced stricter privacy settings. So if you are below the age of 16-year-old, when you sign up on Instagram, your account is going to be set to private by default. Message restrictions, so random strangers can't send you message requests. You as a parent can link your device to your kids' Instagram, and then you can basically even read their messages. Content restriction, just making the algorithm safer for young users. Sleep mode activated. So between 10 o'clock at night till 7 o'clock in the morning, you will not get notifications from Instagram, and they've introduced stricter parental control features. Again, it's just that you can link your Instagram account, your child's Instagram account, and you can have a lot of more monitoring in that sense. There are certain loopholes to this. So first of all is the age verification issue. So now when an 8-year-old sign up on Instagram as a 13-year-old, they can easily just sign up to Instagram as a 16-year-old and bypass all of those those features. But Instagram, Meta is trying to sort of deal with this problem. So they have worked together with a company known as Yoti. They are facial recognition company. So basically, when you want to create a new account in Instagram, they might ask you for a formal ID or a video selfie. The video selfie then will estimate your age. There's inadequate protection from harmful content because, again, it's all algorithm driven. So we are yet to see that, with the new sort of features which are being introduced, that Instagram is safer for a young user. But the real question comes in is this a real, sort of Meta suddenly realizing, the safety of a young user, or whether this is really a PR move? The reason being is because they came out with all of this new feature just 1 week before the US was about to sign a bill known as KOSA, which is Kids Online Safety Act. And this act basically says that if a social media platform is found to fail to protect young users, they will be held liable and accountable. So the easiest thing for them to do is just introduce more safety features and putting the burden onto parents, because the features are there. So it's, they can be protected from all of that once the bill actually passes through. It also came at the time when the Financial Times reported that Google and Meta struck secret ads deal to target teenagers. So again, those are just sort of, a brief update as to what's been happening in the major social media platform when it comes to the safety of young users. But again, I cannot cover everything with every single platform because there's just so many social media challenges that came about and so on. But that's just kind of a gist and a brief overview of them. But now let's go and dive a little bit deep into Snapchat. So as of 2023, Snapchat has around 375 million daily active users. Their age range is between 15 to 34. Both boys and girls enjoy being on Snapchat. And in the US, about 2.8 million users are between the ages of 0 and 12. Now, if you are not aware of this, 13 is the minimum age of social media. The reason why 13 is the minimum age of social media is because of something known as Consumer Online Privacy Protection Act. What this basically says is that more of a data protection act rather than the content that you actually found on a social media platform. So first of all, below the age of 13, you shouldn't be on social media, but keep in mind that that is not content related. That is about data protection. So even if you're 13-year-old, want to sign up on Snapchat, you got to think whether, even though they're the legal age, whether the content on the platform is appropriate for their level of maturity. Now, Snapchat is very popular even here in the UK. 75% of teens between the age of 16 to 19 use the platform. In fact, one of the most common thing that you will hear is that it's one of the platform that, once a child has access to social media, will want to download. And the reason why Snapchat is very popular is because it's got a very nice self-sustaining model where everyone is on it. A lot of young users are on it. So therefore, when someone comes to the age of 13, it's almost the platform that they just want to be on. Now, there are a couple of features that has made this app very popular among young people. So When the app first came out, it's got this thing which is known as AR lenses. So you can make your face and, your photos and your snaps more sort of fun with all of this sort of, features, you can add to it. It's got this thing which is known as private stories. So when you want to share a snap, you don't have to share it with everyone on your friend list on Snapchat. You can decide who can actually view the snap that you want to share with. It's got this feature known as Snap Map. This is Snapchat's way of encouraging physical interaction in the real world. What this basically does is that you drop a pin location on where you are, and you can see people who are within the same vicinity as you are. But this comes with a lot of danger, and we'll kind of look at that a little bit later on. It's got this thing known as disappearing messages and screenshot notification. So once you've sent a message to your friend on Snapchat or a snap, you can then decide as to how long the snap or the message will stay there until it will self-destruct. So within like 1 minute to 24 hours. Once that message has been opened, the timer will run, and once the timer run off, the message or the snap will disappear from Snapchat server, from the inbox, and also from your friend's device. If anyone tries to screenshot the message, you will get a notification that someone has tried to screenshot the snap or the message that that you have sent. It's got this thing known as My Eyes Only. So this is a little bit like the calculator app. I don't know if any of you are aware of that. So it's like a secret folder kind of an app, like a vault basically within the app itself. So if you want to hide photos and videos or messages that you don't want others to have access to, you can hide it behind this, and then you can, just add a passcode so only you can access it if you've got the passcode for it. But with all of these amazing features also comes with a lot of dangers when young users do not understand the implications of some of these features. So let's take a look at some of them. So some of the issues: disappearing messages. Now, this makes it very easy for predators to target young users without leaving a trace. And this makes it very difficult for authorities and parents to intervene in the case of an abuse. Sexting. According to the National Cyberbullying Research Center, 22% of young users have sent a nude or a semi-nude image of themselves via the app. Strangers. Snapchat has got a feature which is known as For You. So it basically recommends your profile to friends of friends of friends, again, exposing you to strangers. Cyberbullying, like any social media app, Snapchat again is one of those social media platform that's got problem with this as well. Inappropriate content, we will see that a little bit later on. Again, it's all algorithm driven, so inappropriate content will do slip through the most of the social media platforms. Location tracking, that's the Snap Map that I showed you early on. Now, if your child is not careful with their privacy setting, when they sign up on Snapchat, they make their account as public by default. They always have their location tracking switched on. This basically says that they are basically telling people where they live, where they go to school, where they hang out, who their friends are at all times. And this can put your child in physical danger or harm if they're not careful with this particular feature. The other thing as well, when it comes to Snap Map, with the war that's going on around the world right now, what you can do on Snap Map is you can zoom into those locations and you can see what people have shared from that location. Now, if you've got young users who are using Snapchat and you are trying to protect them from very sort of violent type of content and things like that, this is something you might want to be aware of, because they can go to Snapchat and access all of this type of things. Addiction and mental health. Snapchat has got this feature known as Snap Streak. Snap Streak basically happens when you and a friend exchange snap, and it has to go on. If somebody breaks it, then you will break that streak. This has caused a lot of anxiety among young people, because they'll be sleeping at night and then they'll get a message that their friend has sent a message, and then that urge to have to respond within a certain time limit or the streak will actually be ended. So again, again, addiction, mental health. But again, it's another way for Snapchat to keep young users on the platform for as long as possible, because as we all know, all the social media platforms are all fighting for our attention. So another problem with Snapchat is bullying. This is Mia Janine, a 14-year-old girl who took her own life after being bullied by a group of boys via the app. Drugs. So drug dealers right now, they are using Snapchat to target young people. What you're looking at right now is a drug menu being sold on Snapchat. And now if you're like me and you saw this for the first time and you don't understand the menu that's on the right hand side there's an entire explanation of it on Google and what each emoji basically means. So for example, the flag emoji basically tell you where the drug is being grown. The mobile emoji will tell you how to get in touch. The pill emoji is ecstasy. The mushroom emoji is magic mushroom, and so on, as you can imagine. This is another example of a drug menu on Snapchat. Back on the road today, white with the nose basically means cocaine, green leaf cannabis, so cocaine and cannabis. Available for drops after 2 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and they'll tell you where to actually pick it up from. A test account which was being created of a 15-year-old girl found very quickly that the account was flooded with drug-related content. This just basically highlights the platform's vulnerability to criminal exploitation. 60 young people have died from fentanyl overdose that they have purchased via Snapchat. Parents are now suing the app, saying that the app is just unreasonable for young users. Dangerous, I mean. Schools in London have actually sent letters to parents saying that children are buying vapes via Snapchat that are spiked with drugs. So the problem of drugs and Snapchat is real. Sextortion. This is a 15-year-old boy who took his own life after falling victim of sextortion via Snapchat. Teenage boys aged 14 to 18 are reportedly the biggest demographic being targeted for sextortion. So again, it's a problem of boys and girls as well. Adult content, I don't think I need to explain any of the images, but you'll find quite plenty of account, with this kind of content. Now, the thing is that, these accounts are not necessarily created for the eyes of young users. They're just for, any adult. But again, because a lot of Snapchat users are young users, they will inevitably get exposed to these kind of content on Snapchat. So over the last sort of few months, Snapchat has been under a lot of pressure to respond to the bullying and the drugs and all of these problems that is brewing up on its platform. So just like Instagram, Snapchat too has introduced new safety features. Here are some of the things that they have introduced. First, if enhanced friends connection. So now, if your account, you do not have a mutual friend with someone, they will not recommend your account to another user. So again, just protecting you from the whole being exposed to strangers via the app. They have expanded their in-app warning. So basically, if someone from Africa or Southeast Asia try to befriend you, you will get a warning notification of it, because those are regions that are known for scams commonly. And then if an account try to befriend you 2 times using the same device, but a different account, you will get a notification that it's from the same device trying to befriend you, but using a different Snapchat account. It has improved its blocking functionality, making it easier to block someone, simplified location tracking. Again, the whole Snap Map thing, basically, informing you that you are sharing your location at this point. Family Center enhancements, again, another tool where you can connect your Snapchat to your child's Snapchat, and then you have more control over what your child is actually viewing on Snapchat. And age-appropriate content controls, again, making the algorithm safer for young users on the app. Now, that's a little bit about Snapchat and some of its danger. But like any other, social media platform or tech companies out there who's trying to get into the AI race, so has Snapchat. They have introduced a feature which is known as My AI. My AI is basically a chatbot inside the inbox of Snapchat. You cannot delete this. It's always going to be there, and it's going to be right at the top of your inbox. It's operated by OpenAI ChatGPT, whereby you can ask questions, take quizzes, and so on. But the problem is that, again, when young users use these features without understanding the implications of it, and also to keep in mind that these models are not created with the safety of young people in mind. So again, a test account, when a 13-year-old girl asked my AI, how to have an epic birthday party, my AI suggested how to mask the smell of alcohol and pot. When a 15-year-old girl asked my AI how to have a romantic relationship with someone, it suggested how to have a romantic relationship with a 30-year-old by setting the mood using lights, candles, music, and so on. You get the gist, right? There's another problem to it as well, which is, again, we tell, adults, do not put in your private information into ChatGPT or any of these AI models. But try explaining that to a young user, to your below 12 years old, or even your 13-year-old. Do not share your private information with an AI chatbot. It's going to be really difficult because we are still at the stage whereby we are constantly reminding them, do not share your private information on your newsfeed, on your profile, do not share your location. But now we need to get that conversation forward to do not share that information with an AI chatbot, because again, there's a lot of data and privacy concern. We do not know where is it stored, who is it being used for, and so on. There is also the other problem of emotional manipulation as well. The problem is that when you start chatting with an AI chatbot, especially for a young user, they might get really confused and think that they're actually chatting to a person. Because I tried my AI myself, and honestly, it's like having a therapist in hand that's always empathetic and responding all the time. And the last thing that you would want is a young user seeking advice from an AI bot rather than going to a trusted adult. So the whole emotional manipulation side of things as well is something you want to consider. While we are in the topic of AI bots, there are lots of AI bots that's coming in the market right now. Candy AI. Now this is targeted for 18 and above, but when I tried it out again to find out how safe this is, right? All you get is a warning label. This is for 18 and above. If you're 18 and above, click yes, and then you're in it. Again, these are AI bots, and you can basically either create your own AI character or start chatting with all of these AI bots. Now, the implications of this: just last week alone, a 14-year-old boy took his own life after chatting to an AI bot that escalated his depression. He was chatting to an AI bot using character AI, and after that whole incident, he then took his own life. Again, all these AI bots, they are not made for young users, and you've got my AI inside Snapchat inbox right at the top. So something to be aware of. While we are in the topic of AI, child sexual abuse content is growing online with AI-made images. Now, before this, if I talk about, to parents, be careful when you're sharing images of your children on social media. Make sure your account is private. Know who you're following online, who's following your account. That's because, the big fear is that people will then share the image of your child and, put it in platforms you don't want it to be. The problem now is that it's not just someone taking that image of your child and sharing it to platforms you don't want that images to go to, but it's so easy to manipulate those images. Just like how Facebook promoted how to remove someone's clothing so easily with a few click of a button, the same thing can be done with your child's images as well. So again, something to really be aware of. Again, when it comes to AI and children, there's lots of apps which are just again not safe. For example, AI looker rater apps. These are basically you upload a photo of someone and then they basically rate how you look, and this was being used by some school children, which has resulted in bullying in the school as well. As you can imagine, the trauma when someone uploads your photo and then that's being shared among your classmates. So again, one of this very sort of not very nice things as well. And schoolboys in Korea, just a couple of months, they started taking photos of their female classmates and their teachers and putting it on all these kind of apps and so on. Now, that's the gloomy bit, and that's some of the dangers to be aware of. But I don't like to end things in everything being dark and negative, because it is not. As much as, yes, those dangers do exist, we cannot deny that we are living in a very exciting time as well, whereby we get a lot more opportunities. Our children are able to learn and navigate this digital playground as well, as long as we know how to teach them to navigate it carefully and expose them to age appropriate things. That's the most important thing here. It needs to be age appropriate. While it's important to understand those dangers and be aware of those dangers, it does not mean that we need to ban them from it. It does not mean that we need to keep all of this away from them, but rather we need to help them navigate through all of this safely and age appropriately. So now I'm going to show you some fun stuff that that you can try out with your children, that is not too heavy, and which is quite fun. But before that, I'll show you some profiles about young users that are using social media even for good. This is Hannah. She was 9 years old when she started her blog. It's called Call Me Hannah. She uses social media to raise environmental issues, climate change, self-care, and so on. She's 15 years old now, and she is going to publish a book. She's a motivational speaker. She's been featured in a lot of places, and social media has helped her achieve all of this. This is Michaela. Michaela has been featured in Shark Tank. She's made lemonade from her grandma's recipe, and she used social media to basically raise awareness about this product that she's created. Again, she's a young girl. She's about 16 years old, and now her lemonade from social media to Shark Tank, it is now in nationwide stores in Costco and so on. This is teenager therapy. So Gail, a 15-year-old boy who came across a marriage-related podcast, decided that teenagers need space to express their views, talk about things that concern them. He created a podcast known as the Teenager Therapy, and recently a YouTube channel as well that gets thousands of views every month. These are just some of it, but there's so many others where young people are using social media even for good. But again, these are much older teenagers. They are not 11 and 12 years old. They are your 15 and 16 and so on. Now, for myself, right, I must say that my daughter has been a source of my inspiration in this last couple of months. So just at the school car park, my daughter came up to me and said, I've got no time for homework today because I've got so much going on after school today. I used ChatGPT, and I used the new voice search feature. I uploaded her, daily school schedule, and I just basically said it, can you please create a timetable for my daughter, slot in homework time, make sure that she has enough rest, and put all of this into a table. This was 5 minutes in the car park that I basically did this table. When I got home, all I did was printed it and give it to her and said, this is your schedule. You should have time for your homework now. She looked at it and she was like, how did you make this? And you know what? If this was like a couple of months ago or a year back, I would have to sit down on Microsoft Excel and insert this one by one. But now it can be done in minutes. And it's not just that, right? We talk about our own self-care and how we can use technology for good as well. I decided to be a bit more healthy this year. So again, I use ChatGPT for this, and I basically prompted it to say that, I want a healthy cooked meal every day. And, I want to batch cook it. I want to go to Tesco only once a week and spend 2 hours every Sunday morning cooking, come up with a list of recipes and ingredients, and come up with a meal plan. And within 10 minutes, I got all of this. But look, it's not just about creating tables and, and things like that. You can be as creative as you want to be. So my daughter, again, like I said, source of inspiration, came home one day from school saying that, can you buy for me a book about brown girls? And I was like, what brown girls? And she was like, I want to know like about other brown girls, because she keep reading other books, and she probably wanted some kind of representation of her own color. And I searched high and low, and I couldn't find any. And I was like, well, let's just create one then. And you know what? This was just a 2-day thing. We did some research using Perplexity AI. We got it written out ChatGPT. We checked all the information was correct. We created the images using Midjourney, and then we took it to the bookshop over the weekend, and we got this whole book printed with yeah, you can see their names are on it as well. With these books are for them. I'm not selling this, but the point is, what I'm trying to say is you can be as creative as you can, as you want to be, and you can do it together with your child and use these kind of things as a opportunity to bond with your own family and children by finding things that they are actually interested about. This is what my daughter was interested in, and this is what we created together. But the possibility is endless. Nookly, for example, another amazing way to create storybooks with your children. AI music, Suno, this is free. So again, my daughter was learning the timetables and she wasn't getting some of it. We created a song of her timetables. We downloaded it on my phone and then we play it on the way to school every morning. And now she's really amazing with the timetable as well. Eli 5, you can get it to explain things to you like a 5-year-old. And like I said, the list is endless. You can find all the good things out there as long as you know how to search for it, and like as long as you are involved with your child, together with them, using age appropriate things. Here are some actions that you can basically take right now. If your child is below the age of 13, be strict by saying no social media for them, because legally the age should be 13. My own personal recommendation is to wait until they're at least 16 years old, so they're emotionally a little bit more mature. Between 13 to 16, you need to have all the privacy settings in place. Meta said that they've got over 50 privacy settings, but hardly any parent actually use them. So again, if your child is going to be on Instagram, is going to be on TikTok or Snapchat, spend a little bit of time trying to find out about those privacy settings and use them. Teach your child the report and block function. Again, they need to know how to report something and how to block something if they are going to be connected to the internet. I've highlighted open communication. You need to have small but frequent chats with your child about online safety. The problem is that when we say that we want to talk to our child about online safety, right? Majority of the time, it only happens with one big talk before we give them their first mobile device or before they're allowed to download an app. But we need to start normalizing these conversations. For example, right, when you pick up your kids from school or you meet them at the dinner table at night, you ask them, how was school? How was your day? What happened? How was football practice? What did you do in hockey? What did you do in drama? If your child is connected to the internet, you need to start asking them, what did you watch online? What did you listen to online? Did anyone add it to you online? Did you see anything that made you upset and so on? You need to normalize the conversation, but you need to have small but frequent chats about it rather than that one big chat and then completely forget about it. You need to know who they follow online. Look, the easy thing is to give them a device and allow them to download an app. The difficult thing is to be involved, because that requires time and that requires your attention. But if your child is going to be connected to the internet and you've seen some of the dangers that I've told you earlier and before, you need to be involved in their online lives. You need to use the apps that they use so that you are familiar with what they can potentially be exposed to. Now, there are hundreds of apps out there, right? But the last thing you're going to do is allow your child on hundreds of apps. Limit the amount of apps they're allowed to so you can keep up with some of them as well. You need to set boundaries from the start. If you're going to let your child be connected to the internet, set that boundary from the start. A lot of the time, breakdowns happen when a parent gives a child a device and unlimited access, and then something goes wrong, and the reaction is to take away that device or to ban that particular app. And that is when that distrust basically happens between the child and the parent, and the breakdown happen. And trying to set boundaries at that point is going to be very difficult. So do it from the start. For example, set some rules. No mobile phones in the bedroom. Mobile phones need to be charged outside the bedroom. No mobile phones during, whatever, homework or, and so on. Some children, need their devices for homework and so on. But you set the rule that is appropriate for your family. Most importantly is critical thinking skill. we are living in an age of misinformation, disinformation, you name it. No one knows the truth anymore. And the problem is that no one wants to seek the truth because it takes effort to seek the truth. You see something online, you scroll, you read it, and you scroll past, and then you don't want to look into it more because that takes time and that takes effort. But that's the skill that's going to really allow your child to actually thrive in a digital world, is to have that critical thinking skill. When they see online, question what they see. Always try to look for the other side of the argument, like how you would teach them in the real life. Teach them that that's the same thing with the digital world as well. Now, I always give this analogy, right? You know, when you want to teach your child how to learn how to swim, right? You don't just throw them into the deep end of the water. What you do is that when they're still toddlers and babies, you are in the pool with them and you hold them and you keep them safe. When they grow a bit bigger, they go to swimming lessons. When they go to swimming lessons, they start with noodles, right? And when they become a bit bigger and more confident, the noodle comes off, they learn their strokes, and then off they go swimming by themselves. The same thing with the digital world as well. When your child is still young, you need to be involved. That's like their noodles, their armbands that they have. That's you as their point of protection, being there and being involved with what they do online. But as they grow bigger, you can slowly start peeling off that layer of security and protection. You don't need to keep following who they follow. You don't need to be having all the stricter parental control tools as they keep growing older. But the point is, they need that while they're still young, and only you can provide that right now. We can't rely on the tech companies to keep our children safe because they are profit-making companies. Algorithms are designed to keep our children engaged for as long as possible because that is when they make their money. So we can't rely on them to do that. Our education system are a little bit slow in adopting to online safety because online safety seems to be, at least from my experience so far, a lot like a tick in a box exercise where it's Cyber Awareness Month, we'll get a speaker come in, it's Online Safety Week, it's Internet Safety Week, we get a speaker on, and children gets really bored. So of the conversation that comes with online safety, like, oh, cyberbullying, oh, we know that, or don't share your private information online. You speak to a 13, 14-year-old, like, oh, we know that. But you can make it exciting for them by being involved in their digital life. Talk about what is real and what is not. For example, face filters, for example, false information. The US election that's going on right now, for example, in our home, we are avid CNN, BBC, watchers at home. But with the election, everything that's going on, and we want to see what's the other side of the argument, we start watching RT News and Fox News and see what they're reporting. Again, just to find out what is happening with the other side of the argument. And this is something we do proactively, again, to teach our children critical thinking skill. Always try to understand the other side of the argument. Now, because we did a deep dive on Snapchat, use the Snapchat Family Center. But my own personal recommendation is that I wouldn't recommend any child below the age of 13 on Snapchat. And in fact, I will hold off till at least they are 16 years old. Now, most importantly, keep up with what is happening with the latest trend. If you go to learning.kidsandclicks.com, just sign up to the newsletter, and every week or two, I do try to send just updates as to this is a new AI tool that came out, or this is what's happening in the news, just so you're aware. Very easy for you, something to keep up with. There's resources as well for you to check out whenever you want to. One last thing that I would add is that there's a movement that's making wave everywhere. It's called the smartphone free childhood movement. And you've already got hundreds and thousands of parents across the country, across the world, that's signing up to this movement. Basically, is that delay giving smartphones to young children. And the reason being is that we just want to let children be children for a little bit longer before getting exposed to, all the different dangers and, algorithm-driven world, being, addicted to likes and so on. Here are some countries that is currently, banned smartphones around schools and stuff like that you can take a look at. In the UK, the Academy chain with 35,000 schools are the first to ban smartphones. Eton College as well. Here, I'm based in Edinburgh. Cargillfield, a local school, has also banned smartphones in schools. Now, When I talk about banning smartphones, again, like I said, it's all about finding age-appropriate things for your children. I'm not saying banning the internet, banning all the good apps that I've shared with you earlier. It's finding the right things for your child. If your child, you need to get in touch with your child. Yes, I have no doubt about that. For example, with my own daughter, we got her a smartwatch whereby she can only make calls to mommy and daddy, and there's a maths app in it as well. So whenever she's bored, we're in the airport lounge, she plays with the maths app. You do have the option to buy a non-expensive alternative